Hey friends, it's me, Em again, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things sinister. If you are interested in true crime or if you like all things horror related, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can join me for some morbid conversation. And today's morbid conversation, it is back yet again. 5 pictures, 5 backstories, 5 real quick snippets of information that are pretty interesting. So let's get into it. Our first picture that we have here should have been Steven Weber's happiest day of his life, but instead it ended up being his last. Steven had booked a 4-day stay at a luxury hotel in one of the resort's underwater rooms with his girlfriend Kenesha Antoine. It was during this trip that Steven had a proposal planned for his girlfriend, and he would end up going forward with that plan on the 3rd day of their stay. Steven would end up leaving the room and free dive outside of the room. Kenesha had caught the proposal on camera as her boyfriend swam up to the window and pulled out a note that he held against the glass. The note said, "I can't hold my breath long enough to tell you everything I love about you, but everything I love about you, I love more every day." He would proceed to pull a ring box out of his pocket before swimming out of view, presumably to return to the room to get his answer from his girlfriend. However, Kenesha waited and waited, and Steven never came back. The cabin was anchored 32 feet below the water's surface, and tragically, Steven did not make it back up. Steven unfortunately drowned soon after the proposal. So what should have been the start of a very happily ever after for the couple actually ended up being the worst day of the couple's entire relationship. So this is a picture of a group of preteen girls, Peyton, Morgan, and Anissa, and the 3 of them were best friends and often seen hanging out together. The group of 3 would end up having a slumber party, and the following day, the 3 girls would go to a local park to play hide and seek. However, while they were at the park, Morgan and Anissa would turn on Peyton and proceed to stab her 19 times in the arms, legs, and torso with a 5-inch kitchen knife. The girls would leave their friends there to die, but fortunately, Peyton was able to crawl through the wooded park area until she came across a bicyclist who was able to call 911 for help. Peyton was in critical condition, but after having life-saving surgery, was able to pull through the attack and survive. Police would end up finding Morgan and Anissa on the side of the road, covered in blood and dirt, and take them in for questioning, where they had no hesitation in admitting to what they did and said that they were motivated to attack their friend in order to get on the fictional character Slender Man's good side. The 2 had begun to believe that Slender Man was really real, and they thought by killing their friend, their lives would be spared by him. If you ever have the chance to sit through the interrogation video of these 12-year-old girls, I highly recommend you do that. For me, I've watched lots of interrogation videos, and this one by far is the most unnerving one I've ever sat through. To sit there and watch 12-year-old girls describe killing or trying to kill their good friend as though they don't have a care in the world is absolutely chilling to watch. This next picture is a picture of Christopher Porco, who is being escorted by his mother, Joan, through his court proceedings. Now, Joan's face is pretty noticeably disfigured, and the reason for that is because the court case that her son Christopher was going through was actually a murder trial, and that murder trial was for his father. Christopher was found guilty of killing his father, Peter, with an axe. He had also attempted to take Joan's life, which is what led to her facial disfigurement, as the attack caused her to lose part of her skull, an eye, and have massive scarring. Christopher had been having issues with his parents leading up to the murder and attempted murder. Some of these issues included his grades at school, but the majority of the issues were caused by the fact that Christopher was regularly forging his father's signature in order to co-sign loans for him. Christopher was struggling severely with money, and his father found out about Christopher fraudulently taking out loans in his name, which led to a confrontation. After that confrontation, Christopher would drive in the middle of the night from his school, which was hours away from his parents' home, to enter their home, attack them with an axe, and then drive back to campus. So obviously, Joan would survive the attacks, and not only that, she would stand by her son's side his entire court proceeding, which I guess goes to show you just how far a mother's love can stretch. So while this looks like a seemingly harmless picture of a couple rugged mountaineers out for a campout, it actually couldn't be any further from the truth. The people in this picture are survivors from the plane crash of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, also known as Miracle Flight 571. The plane was descended too early, causing it to crash into a mountain, shearing off both plane wings and tail. The plane ended up crashing in the Andes at almost 12,000 feet elevation. Of the 45 people on the aircraft, 11 people died almost immediately from the accident, with several more following soon after due to the harsh cold temperatures and the injuries from the accident. The survivors were able to find a transistor radio in the wreckage, but unfortunately, they used it to hear the news that the search for their plane was canceled on the 11th day. Within the first 72 days following the accident, the survivors had to deal with frigid temperatures, avalanches, and starvation. Their rations were incredibly low from the start, including just a few chocolate bars, some fruit and nuts, candy, and wine. Given the environment that they were in, there was no food source around their wreck site. Originally, the survivors tried to eat non-food materials like leather from the seats or even the stuffing from inside. This obviously did not give them any nutritional value and actually made them sick. The only option that they had left were to eat the others who had not survived the wreck. Their bodies were preserved well in the snow. These people were friends, family, classmates, and coworkers. If you look closely at the picture, you can see a human spine on the ground next to the men posing for the camera. Those that survived the whole ordeal would end up being rescued over 2 months after the initial crash. Out of the original 45 people on the plane, only 16 would end up surviving. Our last picture we have is of a young girl who is standing outside, absolutely drenched in the rain. This person is Anna Fibo, a 25-year-old Dutch girl who had gone out for the day for a bike ride only to almost immediately be caught in the rain. She snapped this picture to send to her boyfriend. The two of them usually went biking together, but today he was busy, so Anne had gone out on her own. Unbeknownst to those who knew her, that picture and the brief message accompanied by it would be the last communication she would ever send. Her boyfriend tried to reach out to her later that day after she hadn't returned home and he was unable to reach her. Likewise, her friends and family were also unable to reach her. Worried, they contacted the police who would initiate a search for the young woman. Evidence found over the following days would lead police to talking to a man named Michel Penhughes, a man who had been jailed for assaulting young girls. Penhughes was currently supposed to be in a mental hospital, but had slipped out on the day of Anne's bike ride. Anne ran into him in the wooded area, and before she could even react, Penhughes grabbed her to drag her further into the woods. When she tried to scream and escape, he slit her throat and buried her. So Penhughes did end up being convicted of manslaughter, and because of that, he was sentenced to 28 years in prison. And weirdly enough, the mental hospital that he had slipped out from wasn't punished at all. All right, friends, so that was 5 more pictures to add to our growing collection of pictures that have a weird, creepy, or sinister backstory. If you have any pictures that you would like me to look into, my email is going to be listed down in the description box below. Feel free to send me any pictures, any descriptions of any pictures, or any true crime stories that you would like to see covered on this channel. I do check my email pretty often. I can't guarantee that I'll get to everything all at once because obviously I do have some stories that I'm interested in and that I like to cover, but I do read my email pretty frequently. I do check my inbox pretty frequently. So if you have anything that you'd like to see, feel free to share it down below. Until next time, as I always say, friends, thanks for joining me and stay safe. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. All right? Bye.